And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel guys, I hope you're all well. Before we do get into today's video, as always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. Guys, in today's video, of course, we're going to be discussing the big headline, that being the big Jose Cifuentes news as the woes continue, whilst also going through a few other bits and pieces within the Rangers space. It is currently the international break. Players are away representing their sort of nations, well some of them are, and the others are going through a grueling plan with Felipe Alanda ahead of our return next week against Aberdeen, which is absolutely fantastic to see. At least they're getting well worked. Apparently only getting 2 recovery sessions rather than 3, and as I say, the emphasis is on the fitness levels even more so during this international break, so good to see on that point of view. Of course, in today's earlier on video, the main headline, of course, from the international side of things was, of course, Ross McCausland did get his senior debut, or did make a senior debut for Northern Ireland as his good week continues, following his full debut for Rangers against Livingston in the Scottish Premiership. He did impress. He did get the Northern Ireland's Player of the Match award. However, the team as a whole weren't very good as they got beat 4-0. But McCausland has come out and said that he does want to set his sights on the next Group H fixture and wants to play against Denmark on Monday. But really good to see that from Ross's point of view. Now, the other main sort of headline throughout sort of world football, if you like, has been with regards to Everton. Yesterday, of course, they were deducted 10 points for breaching financial fair play rules, and of course were sitting 14th. They had sort of a resurgence this year, looking a little bit better than they have over the previous years, but due to the sort of 10-point deduction, they now sit in 19th in the table, 2 points from safety, and only off the bottom spot by goal difference. Now, this is obviously very interesting because you hear a lot about this in other countries, but not in the UK, and especially with Manchester City, with what they've been doing recently. A lot of people down south at the moment are being really, really pissed off with what's going on. Now, why has this got anything to do with Rangers, you may ask? Well, basically, one of the transfers that was sort of brought into question was, of course, the sale of Nathan Patterson, and Jamie Carragher has since came out and questioned why the Premier League didn't intervene in stopping that transfer from going through. Basically, he did write in his Telegraph column. It's a lot about Everton. I'm not going to go through with it, but I will just discuss the bit that he said with regards to sort of Rangers and Nathan Patterson, and this is what he had to say. My sympathies are extended because they have been the opposite of this. It's hard to understand how the Premier League could be working with the club to ensure they remain compliant, watching them complete the signings such as those for Nathan Patterson and Milenko for a combined fee of around £30 million in January 2022, only to suggest the club had lost around £20 million too much. Why did they not intervene at this point? Now, of course, as I say, Nathan Patterson's transfer obviously taking them over the thing along with Milenko. That's why it's being brought up into question. Of course, we did at the time, it was a record sale for us. And Nathan Patterson has since gone on to do a very, very good job at Everton. But that transfer, it seems, has kind of sparked them over the line and seen them breach financial fair play. However, it doesn't affect us, of course. It's just Everton, and tough shit on them, I suppose. But in other news, guys, as well, of course, Felipe Alanda, there's a bit with regards to him. He looks like he's having a resurgence since he's left Rangers. Of course, constantly injured at the football club. He really was, always injured. Injured for around a year, and then, of course, left on a free transfer at the end of this season. And then, of course, now it does seem as though he will be getting a new long-term contract at his club, Odense, out in Sweden. He has been representing his national team as well, and it really does seem his injury woes are behind him, weirdly enough. It seems as though everyone's perfectly fine when they come to Rangers, everyone's perfectly fine when they leave Rangers, but when they're playing for Rangers, they get injuries left, right and centre, and that looks like the case for Felipe Alanda. But he's been very impressive, apparently, out in Sweden and playing for his national team as well. So fair play to Felipe Alanda. I don't hear any ill word to him. I thought he was a really good player on his day, just never really could keep fit for us, but good to see from his point of view that his injuries are behind him. So yeah, fair play to Big Phil there on that regard. And sort of the main sort of talking point today, guys, is with regards to Jose Cifuentes. Jose Cifuentes, there's a big news with regards to him at the moment, since obviously joining Rangers. It hasn't really worked out for him so far, despite us sort of trying to pursue him for much of the summer from LAFC. He was probably one. Him and Danilo for me were the ones where I was really excited. However, for whatever reason, it hasn't really worked out for him. And basically, obviously, he's been away with Ecuador on international duty. And last night, of course, was dubbed as terrible. So it's not really translating his form back on the national stage either. And as I said, Ecuadorian publicists have dubbed him as terrible in his performance, in his recent performance. Of course, furthermore to that, he has returned back to Glasgow as he has been let go early from international duty due to a suspension. So he's back in Govan now. He'll be back catching up with the rest of the boys. And as I said, his international duty is kind of over for the time being. Now, this led me on to this one because I wanted to think, where does Jose Cifuentes really fit into our side? As I said, he was the player that I was getting super excited about when he came in, and under sort of Felipe Clement, everyone's been given a sort of fresh slate, and he hasn't really done anything. I think he's playing a combined total of 30 minutes of football, coming off of the bench here, there, and sort of everywhere, but hasn't really started, nor does he look close to really commanding a starting berth within this team or playing a big role within this team going forward. And I'm struggling to understand what is going on with Cifuentes, and hopefully it's just a thing of trying to settle or something like that, coming from sort of LA, but just trying to get himself up to speed with the game. I don't know what it is, but as I said, he was the player that I was certainly excited to see what was going to happen, but so far it's not really worked out for him just yet. But it still is early days, and as I said, hopefully he does get his chances, and hopefully, as I say, now he can use this rest of the international break to try and catch up and get back in with that Rangers team. So that's the latest with him. Of course, not impressing on international duty, dubbed terrible, quote, terrible by Ecuadorian press, and of course has returned back to Glasgow following a suspension for the next game for Ecuador. So, hopefully, as I said, it does continue, but hopefully he can get better. It just makes me think now, as Jose Cifuentes, James Sands, Polster, all these boys coming in, and then seeing Scottish boys go out to the MLS and absolutely tear it up. I'm just maybe thinking that the MLS isn't actually a very good measurer for talent. I hope I am wrong, but it just seems that way, that they don't really convert over here in Scotland. I think it is a big step up, and it's very interesting. I think Lewis Morgan, obviously playing with Celtic, he's one of the best players out there, and he can get a team in Celtic. Couldn't get into the team couldn't get a game for Celtic. So maybe one to just watch there, and maybe a market to avoid going forward. But Rangers fans, do let me know your thoughts on Jose Cifuentes. Is he a player that you think will come good under Felipe Clement? Also, let me know your thoughts with regards to the sort of embargo down south with regards to Everton as well. Guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. As always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.